Do you need Iridium Ore? Well, this is how I get 1000 Iridium Ore every single day in Stardew Valley. Enjoy! There are two types of food in this game, healing food and buffing food. Healing food should heal for a good amount, be easy to obtain, and most importantly, should not be attached to any stat buffs. If you eat food with no buffs, then your current buffs will remain. If you eat pancakes, for example, you will lose your original buff and it will be replaced with a foraging buff, which is not that useful in the Skull Cavern. I would recommend mGaud quality cheese. You most likely do have cows, so just turn their milk into cheese for free, high healing food. Now onto buff food, and this might be subjective, but I always recommend eating spicy eel. It gives you a luck boost and a movement speed boost, and it's really easy to get if you simply duplicate rubies or just defeat serpents in the mines. Remember that you can combine a buff from a cooked meal with a buff from a beverage. If you have access to ginger ale, I would highly recommend using that. It also gives a luck boost, and if you combine key seasoning with your cooking, you could be rolling around there with so much luck, nothing can get in your way. If you don't have ginger ale yet, then triple shot espresso is a very good alternative. This guide requires you to already have some Iridium Ore, as it requires crystallariums. Crystallariums are kind of amazing, they can duplicate any gem placed inside of them. This includes high value gems like diamonds, but this also includes gems that sell for almost nothing like jades. Even though jades have no value, they are actually the best thing to place inside of your crystallariums. That is because jades can be traded for staircases at Desert Trader on Sundays. If you have ever tried crafting a staircase, you know that it feels almost impossible, as it costs 100 stone for each staircase. This steep price is worth it though, since it will immediately spawn a ladder in the regular mines as well as in the Skull Cavern. If you even just have 5 crystallariums and are patient, you can very quickly stockpile loads of jades and trade them all for staircases. Okay, let's talk about your mining tool. I would highly recommend the slingshot loaded with explosive ammo. Yeah, you can actually load this thing up with ammo that is basically a bomb. Now I won't lie to you, it will take some time to get used to this thing, but practice, get better at it, it will change the way you see the Skull Cavern forever. The ammo will unfortunately fly over rocks and will only explode if it hits a wall, an enemy, or a ladder. So aim for the walls and enemies to break the rocks. If there are some rare resources in the middle of a floor and there is no wall or enemy nearby, you could use a staircase to spawn a ladder and then shoot that. If you are playing on mobile or console and the slingshot is harder to use, then bombs are a good alternative, especially when paired with an iridium pickaxe. The truth is that nothing quite compares to the slingshot, but we all play the game in our own way. After completing the vault bundle, Pam will start working again, and she can drive you to the desert for the low cost of 500 gold. This is all good and well, except for the fact that Pam only starts working at 10 AM. Even though we wake up at 6 AM every single day, we cannot get to the Skull Cavern early enough through Pam. This is where the desert warp totem comes in. Listen, I know that these are hard to craft and that the recipe to craft them is really expensive, but you don't need to make them yourself. The desert trader can actually trade desert warp totems for 3 mGaods. Do it. Sacrifice those mGaods because it is worth it. These things will allow you to teleport straight to the desert at exactly 6 AM, saving you 4 entire hours. Those 4 hours are going to make a difference. Don't skip this step. Remember that daily luck has a pretty good impact on ladders and shafts, so make sure that you sleep until it is the best possible luck day. Place your TV real close to your bed so you can immediately check. Once you have confirmed that it is a lucky day, immediately use your warp totem to get there super early. I always keep my Skull Cavern kit on me at all times, just in case. The best ring combo that you can use is most definitely 2 iridium bands. There are so many ring options, but the double iridium band will give you a very impressive magnetism range. This will save you a ton of time, as you can harvest resources from afar with the use of the slingshot. If you have access to the forge and can combine rings, then combine 2 iridium bands with 2 lucky rings for the best result. There are better rings for different purposes, but for iridium ore farming, this will do the best. The strategy that we will be using in this Iridium Ore run will not really require you to use your weapon that much. I always recommend that you bring an infinity gavel if you have one, but bring the best thing that you have. If you use the next tip exactly how I recommend, then you will most likely never even need to draw your weapon in the Skull Cavern. There is just no time for it. Now for the strategy, it's really simple. If you have very few staircases, then only use them on infested floors. These floors will take the longest to clear, and time is our biggest enemy here. Then just use your slingshot to destroy tons of rocks. The slingshot will allow you to find ladders really quickly, and you can get really deep with very few staircases. If you don't have many jades, then this method is good enough to get you to floor 100 plus a decent amount of Iridium Ore to grow your crystallarium collection. Now for the strategy when you have many staircases. It's actually simple, like way too simple. Use a staircase as soon as you land on a floor. If you see Iridium Ore near the entrance of the floor, shoot it with your slingshot, collect the Iridium Ore, and then continue using staircases. This method is very wasteful because you can easily burn through 300 staircases in a single day, but that's fine. That's the benefit of this method. You will not be wasting a single second. You will naturally make it extremely deep using this method. You will find tons of Iridium Ore. At the end of my run, I found 930 Iridium Ore and 14 prismatic shards. The most important tip I can give you is to not leave the skull cavern. Yes, your little character will pass out at 2 AM and you will be fined, and you can easily make it back to your farm if you leave just before 1 AM, but don't. It's not needed. Those extra few hours can make a massive difference in how much Iridium Ore you can collect in a single day. Plus, the penalty for passing out at 2 AM is that you will lose 10% of your current gold. However, it caps at 1000 gold. That is barely a fine if you ask me. Additionally, there is a common misconception that you will lose items if you pass out in the mines. That is just absolutely not true, as you will only lose items if you die in battle against an enemy. This is by far the most important tip that I can give you if you are struggling in the Skull Cavern. It is also the tip that you don't want to hear. Practice. That's right. Just like anything, you need to practice. All of these tips will help guide you towards an infinite amount of Iridium Ore to reach the floor that your heart desires, but it will all require some practice. But I believe in you. You can do it. Now that you have a crazy amount of Iridium Ore, why don't you get a crazy amount of greenhouses? Check out this video to see how you can get more greenhouses. Thanks for watching, but for now, I will see you in the next video.